Fabien cell research gives us this photo, this amazing, miraculous photo where you see a mass of human cells from one person shining with no separation inside, outside, expressing the light of God that is inside this cell, this group of cells, because it's a mass of cells, it's a drop of blood. It's a collective of cells inside of us who are shining because they are receiving their fundamental note. This is Tama-Do. All of our techniques are created to clear away the garbage so that our clients can expand with emptiness inside to receive the light, to birth the light, to then express the light like these cells. It's sacred. Tama-Do is a spiritual school, which means that we're not just banging a gong or blowing a tube or whatever, just because it's our gig, it's how we want to make a living, it's the social thing to do. It's not enough in Tama-Do. In Tama-Do, we want to wake up the consciousness of those that we shine toward, in the middle of. We want to activate light so that the beings of light around us get the message that we are with them. We want to become light in every second of the day, grounded in the reality that we are not just light. We have also the physicality of our incarnation. And a lot of the spiritual New Agers, they don't like that. They came into the New Age instead of the ancient old ways. A lot of them because they wanted to check out. Because life is too hard. Because they don't know why they're here. And they did not accept that they chose it. They believe that it was just put upon them, and they're going to do the best they can to have a good ride. And so a lot of the sound healing practice accentuates our worst instincts to check out, to zone, to disappear, to only be ourself and not look at the mirror of how ourself is intertwining with everyone around us. The collective consciousness. How do we make our community shine if we are healers, teachers, leaders, sound healers, if we're going to do a Tama-Do sound harmonization, if we're going to do a sound bath? How do we inspire the collectivity who are lying on the floor in front of us to activate their soul consciousness, their light within, for the purpose of passing that light on for future generations. It cannot be enough that we're just teaching you to trip out. I'm from the 60s. We did that. We did all the experience. I didn't. But I include myself as the we. I was actually the little one on the cusp watching. I was not really the hippie generation, the dropout generation, but my brothers and sister were. I'll never forget, I'm in California. California was the dropout kingdom of the world. And when I was 16, hitchhiking down the coast of California to do my big, freedom, dancing naked on Big Sur, camping by myself, blah, 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 blah. There was a moment by San Luis Obispo where myself and my boyfriend were picked up by these dropouts, these hippies that had given up the world because they were sure that the world was going to come to the end. Every generation has this dropout generation. So the concept of that, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being a collective community. But what was wrong with it is they had no purpose. There was no real mission except to not belong. Of course, the world did not come to an end. And after 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 years, the commune broke apart. They had kids, and the kids were like, hey, I don't want to check out. I want to participate. And they slowly came off the mountain, and then they became the baby boomers and ended up making a lot of money and going in the opposite direction. Also not acceptable. So I say that because I have observed, the humanity going through enough cycles where whenever there's something really bad, like a war, and people are against the war, there is a generation of people that step out and check out. Not going to participate, it's all corrupt. So as you know, we just had a herky big election in the United States, and a lot of people checked out. A lot of the New Age people that I spoke to, because it's a bit forbidden to talk politics in the New Age. And I'm thinking about that. Because part of being political or being active doesn't necessarily mean it's not spiritual. You can be spiritually active on the civil political level. You can be spiritually active making money if the purpose is for the higher transcendence of the humanity. If your purpose is to make the world a better place for future generations. And to not get bogged down in all of the social, emotional, lower astral. How do you stay above the plexus? How do you stay in the light? And I am watching the influencers that are spiritual, and I don't think they even would acknowledge that they're spiritual. They don't think about that, but they are speaking like Tama-Do. They are saying, we have to get back up on our horse. We have to believe fundamentally in the light that is within all of us that might just be sleeping. And we cannot check out. Everyone is saying we cannot check out. We have to continue to make a difference. These are big concepts that I am adding in the introduction of a teeny little sound harmonization. Why? Because I think the sound healing world has kind of taken a path toward checking out. And that makes the sound healers who are wanting to be spiritual somehow no different than those hippies up on the mountain checking out. We need to check in and meditate on why. Why do a little gling gling? Why do a little bowl, a little water, a little what? And our Tama-Do sound harmonization, the original sound bath, it's about seducing the aura to open for the purpose of the people on my table to activate their light within. And the key to the Tama-Do sound harmonization, one-on-one and classique, is that Fabien, okay, he wanted human beings to shine like the cells in his experiment. And how did he do that? He went back to Chinese medicine and he said, okay, what do we have inside of us and what is outside and all around? Because in order to expand us, at some point, you want to hook onto something outside of us to continue the expansion. Do you understand? We can't just expand with our head. Energetically, we have to work with overtone, with sound, and the sound travels, but the sound travels to what? It activates what? So that we can resonate with what? We want to be children of this earth. So the sound harmonization activates the 5 elements. He had done his cell experiment in 1981, and he sees this beautiful cell expanding, and he wants to know, how can I do that for my students? How can I have them experience sound, acoustic sound, only acoustic because it has the overtone, that it expands outward? How can I help my students to feel this? And so, as a musician, he started with the cycle of fifths, which I played for you on the piano, which expands and lifts us upward. And he had to decide which note of the cycle of fifths goes to which chakra. That had never been done before. The chakras did not have a note attached to them. It was Fabien that, we talked about those that chose C, D, E, F, G. And Fabien said, no, it's F, C, G. It's cycle of fifths. So that the person is expanding. But it's not just enough to take like 8 crystal bowls or 8 singing bowls, even if you do get a cycle of fifths, or any instrument that just expands us. It's not enough, because it takes us to where? Where are you expanding to? If the expansion is just expansion, you go out of your body. You leave the hermit crab shell. And as I've told you, if you leave the shell, somebody else is happy to come in. So we have to ground the sound so that we are rooted in us as we expand. We want to do both. And what's going to root the chakras with the sound, the cycle of fifths? It's the elements. So a hologram started to be created by Fabien. He created, cycle of fifths, F, C, you build up based on density at the root, and by the time you get to that F sharp, it's the highest note, and high notes take us up. Okay, we go up and out. If we were just playing a cycle of fifth, yeah, everybody would go up and out. So how do we anchor? What of the 5 elements is the most dense? You have earth, water, wood, fire, ether. What's the most dense? It's earth. So it's obvious today. It's so obvious. Like, why am I even telling you this? That the earth Fabien linked to the root chakra. What you don't know is it's Fabien that linked earth to the root chakra and to the F. What element is the next densest? Water, wood, fire, ether. Water. Water has more density, more power, more heaviness. You got the ocean instead of wood, which climbs upward. You can say, well, a tree is really heavy, but the ocean is heavier. So the next chakra is going to be linked to water. And it makes total sense that we have the womb of creation. How much percentage are we water? I don't know, 70 something, 70%. So this is the water center. So we're going to use water instruments. And then the solar plexus is the wood. The wood is the next dense. And then the heart chakra makes total sense. That would be expression of fire. And then the throat is the air. Air or metal. And the head, we add the ethers, the teeny, teeny, teeny little bells. You will see the links on page 10 of the element, the season, the chakra. And so many people are doing sound healing with a little bit, maybe this, maybe that, but I want to take you back to this elemental harmonizing. We are harmonizing with the elemental sounds and acoustic instruments that can emulate the elemental sounds. And the instrument that is the most interesting, which has been lost today in all the noise of the sound healing, is the silence. Is that why do we use a kalimba or a rock or water? It's not to hear the kalimba, it's to hear the resonance of the overtone that then travels through the aura and hooks into the element in the nature. So we are activating the element in our body because in Chinese medicine, law of the 5 elements, we're made up of the 5 elements. And we want to mirror, activate the elements inside our physical and hook them to the trees, the water, the sunlight, the wind, everything, the earth, everything that we can see out our window. Why? Because we're a community. Because sound healing should be activating our light within to merge and express with the light outside. So we do it through the 5 elements. And we play these instruments not to make sound, but to make silence. And we are encouraging all of you that find your way to our little doorstep to enjoy the empty space.